If your child gets A's in school but can barely break 1,000 on the SAT, the problem is not the SAT. It's a hidden academic gap that most schools never catch. And I see it all the time with students who look successful on paper. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact method I use to diagnose why smart students underperform on the SAT and what parents can do about it before junior year panic sets in. By the way, my name is Nara LeGrand. I scored a perfect 1600 on the SAT, and for more than 15 years, I've helped students close the academic gaps most schools miss so that they can reach 1400 and up scores and become strong scholarship candidates. And in every video, I share one strategy that you can use starting right away. Okay. Now, I remember working with one student, her name was Gabby, and, she was pretty much a straight A student. Great kid, hardworking, very responsible. But when she took her first SAT diagnostic, she scored just under 1,000 and her parents were stunned. They were like, we don't understand. Like, she does well in all her classes. Maybe it's the test. So we started looking deeper at the test together. And what we discovered wasn't a lack of effort. It wasn't test anxiety either. But it was a missing foundation of, math concepts that had quietly slipped through the cracks over the years. Things like algebra patterns, function relationships, and geometry concepts the SAT assumes students already know. Now, once we identified those gaps and rebuilt that foundation, something really interesting happened. The questions that once felt confusing, started to make sense. Her score jumped more than 400 points and she eventually crossed the 1,400 mark. Now, not because she suddenly became smarter, but because we fixed the actual problem. So here's what many parents don't realize until it's almost too late. A lot of students who look successful in school are actually carrying serious content gaps in math and reading. They get good grades, they complete their assignments, their report cards look great, they may even be in dual enrollment. But when they sit down for the SAT, the test exposes those gaps almost immediately. And that's when parents start hearing things like, or they start saying things like, my child just isn't a good test taker. But in most cases, that's not the actual problem. Before families discover this, most try the usual things. They, send their child to Khan Academy or, random SAT prep books, weekend crash courses, or they wait until 11th grade and then hire a tutor in panic mode. And the reason those approaches often fall short is because they assume that the issue is test strategy. But in reality, most students are missing foundational concepts the SAT expects them to already know. So they're practicing questions they don't fully understand. And when students practice questions they don't fully understand, they're just not actually improving. Okay, they're just reinforcing confusion. So here's the exact method I use with students inside my SAT training lab. So step 1, diagnose the real gaps. We start with a full SAT diagnostic under real testing conditions so that we can see exactly where points are being lost. Not just which questions are wrong, but why. Step 2, rebuild the missing foundations. So before doing endless practice tests, we rebuild the core math and reading concepts that students missed in schools. Because when students truly understand the material, the questions stop feeling random. Step 3, add SAT strategy. So once the knowledge is solid, then we layer in SAT strategy behind SAT questions. So we're talking about pacing, elimination, pattern recognition. That's when students start seeing major score jumps. Because instead of guessing, you fix the real constraint. And when students truly understand the material first, the SAT becomes predictable instead of stressful. That's when confidence grows. And that's when scores start climbing. So in many cases, that score difference can mean thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars in scholarships. Now, if you want to see exactly where your child may be losing points, I created an SAT diagnostic breakdown guide that parents can use with their student to start identifying those gaps right away. So just comment diagnose and I'll send it to you.